Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another abbreviated episode of Spartan Shadows. I'm back from traveling the country, and I figured it's probably time to get everybody together and catch up on all happenings with MSU. And so Emmett and I are hopping on tonight to kind of fill in a couple of football-related news announcements and then get you primed for tomorrow's big MSU Michigan basketball game and the battle for first place in the Big Ten. And then we'll have Zach on with us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make tonight's, but he'll join us for an episode we're probably going to record tomorrow night, and then get you out the recap of everything else and kind of catch up on what we've missed over the past week. So sorry for the delayed absence. I was in Florida and Louisiana and a bunch of other states, and we were going to record, but schedule was just too hectic. So we're here now. Thanks for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be back in the swing of things here. Unfortunately, if you saw my Twitter, had to put down one of my pets. Actually, he's appeared on the podcast a couple times, jumping into my lap, Bean. So, getting back into the swing of things is nice.
Yeah, getting back to normal, getting everything back on the swing of things just in time for the upcoming basketball gauntlet right before the Big Ten schedule, or the Big Ten schedule concludes, and then the Big Ten tournament starts. But first, let's dive into some football. Since we've last came to you guys in an episode, I believe our last episode actually was when 2026 quarterback Cade Kaufman committed to MSU. Since then, we have picked up two more football recruits for the 2026 class. We have tight end Eddie Whiting and offensive lineman Eli Bickle, both committing to the Spartans over the past few weeks. Eddie is a tight end from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 6'6", 230 pounds, big target, athletic, and I think a really good addition to the class and one with some major upside. And then Eli is a target we've been going after for some time now. He's a local guy from North Branch, Michigan, 6'6", 270 pounds, offensive lineman. Big kid, raw, shows a lot of upside as well. Both are ranked in 24/7 composite. Well, actually, I should say Eli is ranked in 24/7's composite ratings as an 87 and a 3-star overall. The 11th rated prospect in next year's class for Michigan. Eddie is the 2nd rated prospect in the 2026 class from South Dakota, and he is a 89 overall composite 4-star in 24/7. So couple of exciting additions to the football program. Recruiting is running, and Coach Smith and the coaching staff are really picking up some nice players. So Emmett, let's start there. Eli and Eddie, what do you think?
It's really nice to see, especially this is the first true 4-star that Jonathan Smith has landed. Nick Marsh was kind of a holdover, mostly committed under Coach Hawkins, and remained so despite all the uncertainty after Coach Hawkins got retained. Everyone else was more of a flip from Oregon State. So it's nice to see Eddie Whiting as the first true 4-star commit. It's to be determined if Cade Kaufman gets that bump to a 4-star. A lot of recruiting insiders believe he should and will. We all think it's just a matter of time until rankings are updated.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Then Whiting, he is 6 foot, like Chris said, 6'6", 220, 230. He is exact same height weight combination that a lot of people were expecting from another MSU combo, Jack Janda. So exact same height and weight as Janda. Whiting, he has been picking up a ton of recruiting hype, as I believe he is north of 20 offers at this point, and the big names came calling. But when he was interviewed, a great piece by, I believe, Justin Finn, when his family asked him, okay, so we know Michigan State's your favorite. What's it going to take for any of these offers to dethrone MSU? And he said, I don't know, which led to Whiting deciding to commit to the Spartans. Great story and love to see it. Actually, fun fact for everyone, he will be the first, assuming he letters in his first or second year at MSU, he will be the first ever MSU letterman for football from South Dakota, dating back to the entire program history. If you look in the media guide, credit to GLF for that stat. That was something that I had wondered, and she was able to look it up and told me, yeah, he'll be the first ever. So great to see us reaching out into that area that Jonathan Smith has been recruiting in the past, and able to take that Big Sky area into the MSU recruiting, which is someplace that I believe you've seen the trends going up from Big Sky recruiting, and now you get to see the Spartans being one of the first to capitalize. Then for Eli Bickle, he's in-state target, one of the guys that I would say, if you're going to go after him, he's a can't-miss prospect, and I know that he has fallen a little bit as more prospects are added to the database. I don't think that that's a mark on Bickle. I think Bickle is a great tackle or potentially bump to interior offensive line. He has that tweener size, and Coach viewed him as a prospect that they have to get. And who am I to question the offensive line coaches when this offensive line is going to be built, and Bickle's not going to come in with that expectation to play right away. There are only 2 seniors on the Michigan State football roster, assuming no transfer portal activity in the spring. So there is a lot of room to develop and grow for the Spartans. And Bickle doesn't have that expectation to play right away, but I definitely believe he raises the floor for 2026, and he raises the floor, probably even raises the ceiling in 2027, 2028.
Yeah. Coach M has been pretty adamant about Eli being one of his top targets for a while now, and so it's good to see him go after and land him this early. I know when you look at the offer list, nothing super standing out for you. He did get I believe, an offer from Northwestern, but a lot of MAC schools, the directional schools here in Michigan, and some other offers too. But I think this is a candidate that you've seen Coach Smith and the coaching staff and recruiting staff identify early on as one of those potential kind of, I don't know, diamond in the rough type players that you might be able to get in early on, and then as the rest of the cycle goes on, I think you can see Eli really probably getting a few more offers and getting some more attention. So I'm happy that we were able to get him locked in so early and have him help build this class. Seems like kind of the player, just like Hayden, every of the other players we've got locked in so far. They want to be here. They love it here. They want to help build a class here. They want to be committed to the program. So right now, I think we're identifying guys that have a little bit of higher upside and may not need to come in and start right away. Can really build and learn under some of the best coaching staff they'll work with. I mean, Coach M has put countless prospects in the NFL, and so why not learn from the best and come in and try to keep building and eventually be a big difference maker. Switching over to Eddie, I agree with what you said pretty much to a T about him. He's got a bunch of offers. Like you said, the big names came in late. Alabama's offered him, Colorado, Auburn. He had an Iowa State offer. Michigan offered him. Wisconsin, UCLA, Washington, they've all came in and offered Eddie. And just like you alluded on in the piece by the 24/7 crew, they love it here. Him and his family love it here. I know Eddie's mom has kind of interacted with us a little bit on social media, so shout out to her. But it seems like the family just loves the fit and loves the program. And I think Eddie is a great get. We needed a tight end of his build. I know a lot of people had identified Jack Janda, and I know we were recruiting him too. I could see them adding another tight end to the room. I don't know if Jack Janda is necessarily still in the cards per se.
He just got off Northwestern a few days ago. I remember that was publicly announced.
Yeah, so I don't know. I know Michigan's put a good run into him, and a lot of other schools are vying for Janda. I don't know if this is maybe a case where Eddie was more of who the coaching staff was looking to offer, and maybe they just felt comfortable with going ahead and locking Eddie up instead. I don't know, but I could see another tight end being added. I wouldn't necessarily be putting money on it to be Jack, but you never know. That'd be a good grab. If not, like I said, I think Eddie's going to be a real weapon for this offense in the future, and I really like his traits and his measurables, his intangibles. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, too. Been there. Actually, really cool town. Not going to lie.
Where have you not been, Chris? Where have you not?
I had the pleasure of visiting there a couple years ago on the way out to Mount Rushmore, and so it was a fun little stop, and I kind of like it out there. It's so I'm glad, like you said, we're hitting that big sky country, that kind of middle northern part of America, I guess is a better way to say, because there is some talent out there. I know it's not the hotbed that you see in California's and Texas's and stuff, but there are some.
In Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's some good talent out there, and you're seeing more and more players start to develop out there and make a headway in Division I programs. So you'll also see that. We'll kind of use that as a segue in a minute to a high profile player that MSU has offered and will be getting a visit from this spring from Idaho. So it's another just that area of the country is starting to turn out more people, and I'm glad to see Coach Smith exploiting it and getting some of the top end talent from there.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me right now, the 2026 class stands at 4 prospects. 2 of them are more those blue chip 4 stars who everyone is expecting to see maybe early and often, or at least is going to have the hype behind them in Cade Kaufman and Eddie Whiting. And then you have 2 of those more diamond in the rough developed prospects, which those guys are the people who build your program and are able to lock in and provide those crucial plays and be those leaders in the locker room. And usually you see those, slightly lower 3 stars, not necessarily the tweener 4 stars. Those are the guys who end up making those plays. Who you need a crucial block, you need a crucial catch, and those are the guys who they'll either have their moments, or they'll have a ton of quiet moments that you don't recognize till you look at the stat line and they put up 10 catches for 100 yards. They were part of the offensive line that allowed Aiden Childs to not be sacked, and the Spartans pulling up that victory, for example. Those 2 prospects obviously being Eli Bickle and Joey Caudill. So both of those 2, I would say, under the radar prospects, maybe not the higher offers that are you would expect from, say, a Big Ten school, but at the same time, this is what the staff has identified, and there is a lot of reason to be excited about who they identified and the future for them. I think both players, like I said with Bickle, they raised the floor for 2026, and then in the future, your 2027, 2028, 2029, they raise the ceiling too.
Yeah, and you look at the heyday of MSU football in the past, 20 years under Coach D'Antonio. It was those guys that he got in that were more diamonds in the rough and got in to work with the coaching staff and develop the way you want them to develop and kind of teach them the way you want to teach them. Those are the guys that were the ones making the big plays. The Connor Cooks, the BJ Cunninghams, Jeremy Langford, all those people that come in and they really make an impact in the program when they're able to sit in and develop and kind of work for multiple years and working for a goal instead of just coming in as the highly touted. And don't get me wrong, you need those top end prospects too to kind of help fill the roster with some more win now mentality and early plays while the others are developing. But the best coaches seems to be the ones that can take the mixture of both and work it into the system that works best for the team and for them. So I'm excited for all 4 of the kids that are committed so far to be coming to campus. And it's a good foundation for a class. It's certainly not done. It's not going to be the end of the class. We've got a long way to go before signing day, but there's a good start that we were kind of waiting for, because I know some of the other 2026 commits were, high profile committing elsewhere and all that sort of thing. So it's good to see MSU get on the board and get 4, I think, quality guys. And speaking of quality guys in the 2026 class, and like I had mentioned, one of the Big Sky type players coming from Idaho, MSU, it was announced that is going to be getting an official visit from a 2026 offensive tackle, Kelvin Obot, from Idaho. He's from Fruitland, Idaho. 6'5", 265 pounds. He has a bunch of offers. He's getting a lot of big name offers so far. He's over 20 offers right now. He is currently rated the number 1 prospect in Idaho, and nationally in 24/7's composite, he's ranked as the 12th offensive tackle. So he is a big-time name. He's big in the recruiting ranks. He's, I think, ranked in the composite rankings as 147th overall nationally among every position. So he is kind of a high-profile guy, and it's good to see him.
Top 100, if I'm not mistaken. They have,
Yeah.
I believe on 3, Obot as number 8 in the country for tackles.
Yeah, yep. And so I was going to say, I know on 3 is a little bit higher on him than 24/7 seems to be, but
sorry for taking this under there.
No, yeah, you're good. It's a big offer, and it can't be overstated. So of the 22, 23 offers he's got so far, Michigan's in there, Nebraska, Ohio State offered him today, Oregon, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, USC, Washington, Utah, Wisconsin, a bunch of bigger profile D1 Power 4 type schools. And they're all kind of trying to position to get Calvin to come on campus, and it was big of Coach Mahalchuk to get a visit from him this spring. I don't have the date handy. I believe it's sometime during the spring practices and maybe the spring games, so March or April he'll be in. So look for the staff to try to make a big impression on him, and then hopefully get him to lock in a return visit this summer for on-campus official visits during the summer, and hopefully make some headway, because he would be a big-time addition that could probably see the field as early as next year when he, his freshman year, depending on who's there and what kind of talent remains, or, health and injuries and all that stuff. But he is a big-time prospect, and probably one of the bigger ranked prospects that Coach Smith has pulled in for a visit so far in his tenure here. So love to see that too.
Yeah, Michigan State actually has had relative success with recruiting Idaho in the past. In the last class, not in the most recent 2025 class, but in 2024, Coach Smith was able to flip two of the Oregon State kids he had pursued and gotten their commitments. He was able to flip them to Michigan State. Rakeem Johnson, who played the most of all freshman offensive linemen last year, maintained his red shirt barely, but he was arguably the sixth guy off the bench after Christian Phillips and Gavin Brocious went down with injury. Johnson won one of the publications Idaho High School Football Player of the Year, and that is an award Obat also has gotten from a different publication. I believe Obat's was from Max Preps.
Yeah, I think so.
Either Johnson or Obat got Max Preps, and the other one got another honor. Then additionally, more ties to Idaho. Martin Connington, the kicker, who is presumptive starter if he can beat out Tariq Ahmed-Basic for the kicking spot. So would be a slightly familiar face from, the opposing sidelines for that Idaho group. That is something that stood out to me when I was writing on the initial offer. That is definitely those Idaho ties. I believe Idaho sent 8 kids Division I last year, and Obat looks to be the best of their 2026 class, which is starting to take off. Definitely something to monitor in the future.
Yep, and like I said, hopefully Coach Smith and Coach Mahalchuk can get a good pitch and continue the good vibes in his recruitment. Moving on quickly, just to finish up some football news. It was announced recently that MSU Football was hiring John DeKema from the Lions. Actually, he's done some work with the Lions for the salary cap and some other compliance type avenues. So he was hired as a associate athletic director, kind of dealing basically with NIL and contracts and some other stuff for the athletic department. He is going to provide like contractual solutions, make sure that MSU is complying with newer NCAA regulations and NIL stuff. Working with sponsorships, commercial partnerships, NIL agreements, media rights, all that sort of stuff. So I think this is a huge hire for MSU. He's someone who's been highly regarded as part of Brad Holmes' staff in Detroit, and there was some talk that he may seek other jobs in the front office in NFL teams, but he decided instead to come home. He did get his undergraduate degree from the MSU. He worked with the 2000 national championship team with Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo highly recommends and regarded him and has stayed close to him through the years. Nice to see John coming home, and I think that could be a big help in the NIL landscape, and maybe get some more creativity and new things working with NIL that could attract some bigger players, not only for football, but for any athletic program. So congrats to John. Excited to have you back home in East Lansing. And Emmett, anything to add for him?
I'm just very excited to see how this helps, especially in the current era of college football, college basketball, where it seems like everything, if you want to land that commitment, if you want to land that player in the transfer portal, it's going to come down to NIL, contract management. So having someone to help on staff with that, certainly an impact that can't be understated, especially if you want to be able to compete, you're going to need something like that.
Exactly. Yep. Any additions to the NIL side? And I know that's a lot of legal takes, and John's right in there, and he's the best of the best with that. His ability to navigate and get some good contractual stuff on the record and make sure we're complying with everything. Hopefully bring some good new ideas and get some new people into East Lansing. So like I said, congrats, John. Last piece of football news, Emmett will touch on more of it, but MSU Football is sending its assistant director of recruiting operations, Madeline Wiegand. She is going to be heading off to the NFL scouting combine the next month. I believe is when it starts. End of March. I think
Like next week.
next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually like, end of February, beginning of
Yeah,
March.
beginning of March.
So
I had it backwards, but congrats to
no worries.
Madeline. Exciting for you to go represent the Spartans, and she has a unique role in that. So, Emmett, what do you got for us on that?
Yeah, so she will be part of the, I believe, 40-person speaking list for women in football, I want to say.
Mhm.
And she will be joining former Spartan kicker Jonathan Kim as people going to the NFL Combine. That invite list just got announced. So Spartans are sending, two people to the Combine, one as a prospect and one able to be one of those, groundbreaking people who are talking about innovate like the women in sports and their roles and basically continuing to spread awareness and try to get more women for coaching, more women involved in football in the coaching aspect. So that is definitely something that we support, that obviously that we both support, and would love to see that MSU is getting their name out there as one of those groups that is promoting it.
2025 NFL Women's Forum will take place, like we said, during the combine. She's one of 40 people speaking at that. So big opportunity for her, and that's exciting stuff to help not only get more awareness out there and hopefully get some good networking and some good awareness and opportunities to spread all the positivity going on there. Congrats to Madeline. That's super exciting, and we're excited for you. So that is all we had on the football front. Let's turn the page over to basketball. As you may have heard, there's a big basketball game starting tomorrow in, unfortunately, that wonderful, not so wonderful town of Ann Arbor. That's right. The Spartans are heading down to the school down the road to take on Michigan tomorrow night at Chrysler. The first place in the Big Ten is on the line. MSU coming off two impressive wins with over Illinois on the road Saturday and against Purdue. What was that, Tuesday? My days are running together. But two big-time wins to put us back in Big Ten title contention. This is the first of two games we're going to have with the Wolverines down the stretch here. The final game will be Senior Day in March at the Breslin, and that's our last game as the season before the Big Ten tournament starts. So kind of crucial to get a win here. The next few games, like we said, we kind of alluded to it in previous podcasts. This schedule has been a gauntlet for the Spartans, and it's not getting any easier. We've got Michigan tomorrow on the road at Maryland, who's one of the other teams vying for the Big Ten championship. That'll be next Wednesday. Next Sunday, Wisconsin comes into the Breslin. They're the team probably giving us the biggest threat for the championship outside of Michigan. Then we got to go to Iowa and then come back home for that last Michigan game. So 5 games remaining. We're currently second in the Big Ten standings. Michigan is technically first because we have played one more game, and we are tied in the win column. We have one more loss than they do. So they're just a half game ahead of us. So a win tomorrow would vault us back on top, and then you got to root for maybe one or two more Michigan losses along the way to really help us out. They also have a tough schedule. They get Illinois still. They've got to play Maryland still. They get us again. They get a decently tough Rutgers team, even though it's at home for them. But it'll make for an interesting last couple of weeks in the season, that's for sure. We'll give you Big Ten title scenarios before we wrap everything up here. But as far as tomorrow's game let's see, we got an 8 o'clock tip on Fox. Jason Benetti, Robbie Hummel, and Bill Rafferty on the call. So we'll have some grade A announcers. And the Wolverines are currently 3.5-point favorite in Chrysler. So Emmett, a lot of information there, I know, but how you feeling tomorrow's game?
I think the biggest issue is going to be who's going to guard Wolf, who's going to, I remember there's been a poll. Another thing that's going to be crucial for the Spartans is a player like Xavier Booker, Cohen Carr, Jackson Kohler stepping up for the Spartans. Whoever ends up on Wolf is going to have their hands full all game. The Spartans are going to need to stay away from foul trouble. That's been an issue especially in some of the later season losses, like we saw with Indiana. Carson Cooper fouled out when he was the best big. Simone Zapala got in foul trouble against Purdue on Tuesday, and it was kind of a questionable third foul when he got called for tripping when the player tripped over his teammate's foot, but regardless, foul trouble is going to be crucial. You can't let the whistles decide the outcome of the game. You can't put yourself in that position where you need it. So it's going to be a matter of who can guard the bigs. Pound for pound, I think that the guard play definitely favors Michigan State. I mean, no one's really able to compete when you have 3 to 4 starting caliber guards who can play every night. It's, one-on-one is no big issue. Jaden Akins had a bad offensive game against Purdue. We'll touch more on that during our podcast that comes out in a couple days, but pound for pound, you can guard anyone. The Spartans just forced Braden Smith into 6 turnovers, so if you can force Michigan's guards into 4, 5, 6 turnovers, that is going to be a key to winning this game. If you can even get, say, 3 guard turnovers, well, I would say 3 steals, and probably closer to 4 or 5 turnovers by the Michigan guards, that is going to probably be a key to success if you want to win. Colin Carr had his best game as a freshman against Michigan last year. Obviously, this Michigan team is no longer the team that only won 8 games. This is a team that they're leading the Big Ten, and for good reason. It's not like they've played cakewalks every night. They beat Wisconsin as early as December. This is a good Michigan team. This is a good Michigan State team, and these two teams are going to be slugging it out. If the Spartans can split this series, I feel extremely good about their chances of winning the Big Ten regular season title. If they can sweep Michigan, I feel extremely good, but you can't look ahead of yourself. You have to focus on the next game, which is Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. I think you kind of hit my biggest key is Michigan. If they have one big weakness, it is turning the ball over. They can get a little careless with their turnovers and their ability to hold on to the ball.
So can Michigan State. At the same time, you have to realize.
Yep, so can MSU. I do like our guards' ability to hopefully get some turnovers tomorrow. One thing that's kind of the X factor for MSU that doesn't really get talked about as much is the team defense overall. When locked in, are suffocating. This is the same team that held Illinois to no field goals, I think, in the last 8 minutes of the game Saturday at Illinois. In a hostile environment and a ruckus crowd. So when this team locks in on defense, they're very, very stingy and very hard to score against. If you get a defensive effort similar to that, it's going to be very difficult for Michigan to be able to run the offense they want to run and try to exploit the mismatches they want to try to exploit. Danny Wolf is going to be a problem. He's been, I think, their best player overall this year. Leads the team in rebounds. He's up there in points. He's up there in a lot of things. So who's going to be able to guard him most effectively? I'm not sure. I do like that we do kind of have a rotational of 4 bigs that can play good defense. It seems weird that it's like, one night someone will play great, someone will play not so great, and then the next game they'll come out and be reverse or however you want to do it. But whoever's going to have to do it, somebody's got to step up and try to limit him, whether it's Kohler, Zapala. I kind of think Jackson Kohler may start on him a little bit. I think he's probably our best chance to work some matchups. I know offensively he can be a problem for someone of Danny Wolf's stature to potentially guard. So that could be something we could try to exploit. But I don't know. It's the last game we had Biggs playing well, and then you had Xavier Booker not playing maybe so well. Can he come out defensively and help out and get some good minutes? Cooper's at times showing elite defensive capabilities, so it'll be interesting to see.
And the Dirk shot. Remember his Dirk shot on him.
Yeah,
at Purdue.
Apparently he's got the offensive bag working now too, but we'll see. I mean, somebody's going to have to step up and guard Wolf, and the teams, they're very matched evenly with rebounding, averaging pretty close to about the same amount of points per game, within a couple percentage points in field goal percentages, blocks, everything's pretty identical. So it'll be interesting to see which team kind of locks in and wants it more. So like Emmett said, a win tomorrow will go a long way in your Big Ten regular season championship aspirations. A loss doesn't 100% kill them, but it's going to make things a lot more difficult. So it's a big game. There's no getting around it. You've got the 2 against Michigan and the 1 against Wisconsin. You lose any of them, it's going to make things significantly harder. You lose multiple of them, it's going to make things, I'd say, not impossible, but real problematic. And and I don't want to take anything away against Maryland or Iowa because, if you don't look in ahead, you could drop those 2 games too. So we've said the strength in numbers thing all year, defense, rebound, run, all that sort of thing. That travels, and that's going to need to be what steps up the last 5 games of the season, because if you want to win a Big Ten championship, You're going to have to defend well. You're going to have to make smart plays with the basketball. You're going to have to get out in transition, and you're going to have to run. So let's see. I like Tom Izzo's chances. Credit to Dusty May for what he's done at Michigan so far. I will say Tom Izzo's the more experienced coach in this kind of scenario, and let's hope he can come out and prove that.
Yeah. So looking forward to a Big Ten championship scenarios, obviously not overlooking tomorrow, but just speaking in terms of a win or a loss tomorrow, and with a win, the Spartans can afford to potentially, depending on how the games play out, you could look at a 2-2 or a 3-1 ending and potentially still win the Big Ten. A 3-1 you would feel really good about, especially if those 3 wins are Maryland, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and then you drop an inexplicable one to Iowa. Would obviously have us all on the edge of our seats, but theoretically possible. 2-2 if you sweep Michigan. Well, 3-2 if you sweep Michigan and beat Wisconsin, then lose to Maryland and Iowa. You still feel pretty good about your Big Ten title chances. You just need a little bit of help from Wisconsin, which that's going to be tough because I believe Wisconsin has a very, very favorable end to their schedule. Their toughest game outside of MSU, I believe, is Illinois without Mraz Johnson Jr., correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because Mraz Johnson Jr., one of the Illini's best players, broke his wrist against the Spartans, falling to the floor after a block on Trey Holloman. So that takes one of the best players off the floor for the Illini. So Illinois might not be as good. We really haven't saw it. They lost to Wisconsin with a majority of their players having issues with the flu. So on the return trip, maybe there's a chance, but you don't really know how good the Illini will be the rest of the year.
Yeah, nope, exactly. That's yeah, you have a tough go of it pretty much, regardless of how you shake it. Wisconsin's schedule does shake out more favorably. So it does really put a premium, especially on next Sunday's game at the Breslin Center against Wisconsin. But you got to get there first. Like I said, beat Michigan, beat Maryland. You're going to be in a really good spot. You go 5-0, you're obviously going to win the Big Ten championship in the regular season. You go 4-1, you got, I would say, probably a 90 or above % chance that you're going to do it.
Split it with someone, but
yeah,
you might have the head to outright.
Yeah, depending on who that is. So 3-2 starts getting dicey. You may need some help somewhere. So everything's all in front. It's a big stretch. If only Aaron Henry could come up for a miraculous COVID 5-game stretch and maybe carry us over the hump, but he can't. So we're going to have to rely on this year's team, which I like. The depth is going to come in handy. I think now's the time of the year you're going to see teams who run maybe a 3-4 guy rotation like as your horses, and they're going to play. This is the time of year those guys start to tire out a little bit before the Big Ten and conference tournaments start. So a team like MSU, who runs 10 deep at all times and never really overloads anybody in minutes, should in theory be a lot fresher and be able to overcome that. So let's see what happens. I think that was a big part of how we beat Purdue on Tuesday, and hopefully maybe we can lead that to another win tomorrow. So I think that's all. You got anything else on basketball, Emmett? That's, I think, where we should probably leave it for now.
Yeah, we'll do more recaps and stuff in our next podcast. This one was just to try to prevent our upcoming podcast from going an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Trying to split it up for you guys.
Yeah, trying to make it a little less long, even though this one went longer than we probably intended to. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. We will record, like I said, the plan is to record tomorrow with Zach. We'll recap all of the basketball losses and wins and games of late. We'll recap all of the hockey information. We wanted to kind of get football and recruiting out of the way today. We'll touch on some of it, of course, I would think. MSU baseball started. MSU softball's going. Gymnastics is still going. Hockey is closing in, like we said, on the end of the season. We have a Big Ten regular season title in our sights there. Their conference tournament starting soon. A player potentially in the running for National Player of the Year. Trey Augustine getting accolades. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. So we'll get into that tomorrow. I'll record that and hopefully have it sometime over the weekend for you. And then that way we'll have more kind of an up-to-date to bring us recent. And then the hope is to get back to the once or twice a week to get you guys caught up in the loop all the time and hopefully not have the need for these big, long catch-up episodes. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit one of us up on social media. Email us at spartanshadowspodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up in the comments of the YouTube videos or wherever. And we'll do our best to answer. Also follow us on all of our socials. We're going to start doing some more postings and stuff on there to hopefully get some fun stuff out for you guys. So Emmett, anything you want to throw in before we end?
Just excited to see how tomorrow plays out. I will be tweeting from my couch. Fortunately, due to the national media presence, wasn't quite enough room to fit Shadows into even one of the end bench seats for media. So, going to be tweeting from the couch. Going to be watching as a fan.
Something you don't get to do as often, so I would say enjoy it. We do have three of the best broadcasters going for this game on Fox
I want
tomorrow.
to watch on mute. Progress over most Big Ten
Yeah,
games.
no muting the play-by-play because Benetti is one of the best, and Robbie Hummel has actually become one of the best commentators, in my opinion, in basketball. So I'm excited for that pairing. We'll sit and watch it and hopefully celebrate an MSU win along with a USA hockey win tonight in the Four Nations championship for those hockey fans. So we're going to wrap this up. Go watch the USA hockey, hopefully defeat Canada. I'm excited. It's going to be a good game either way. So thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. And as always, go green.
Go white.